Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with a former world champion using the StarCraft 1 Terran in the blue. It's Micro Jackson, ByuN. Facing off against arguably the best Protoss player in the world. In the red, we have Hero. In a best of 5 Terran versus Protoss showdown. Part of the largest StarCraft Evo Tournament of the year. The mod that brings StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2 together. So if you happen to like either of those games, it'd be incredible if you could smash that like button, maybe even subscribe. Help me counter the algorithm, which, you know, doesn't like much variety. And Jimmy, what are we? Yeah, Hero's gonna break it. I know. 1,716 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better than Heroes, as he's about to come in and see ByuN with the least original build of all time. ByuN with 3 barracks and a bunch of Marines on the way. And unlike their StarCraft 2 counterparts, they don't have any fancy add-ons, no reactors, no tech labs. The Marines back in the day had to go to the academy to learn how to shoot good. Well, or have the scientists figure it out for them and point them in the right direction. But ByuN, with an early 3-rack stim timing, up against Hero with a surprisingly standard-looking, probably Blink build. Yes, Blink is on the way, but already stim in production. There's going to be absolutely no question from Hero about what this is. The options are severely limited, and even if they weren't, the hallucinated Phoenix would be more than capable of scouting it. So, Medic. Apparently the SCV is bruised by, I believe, a probe earlier. Always pesky, but until Blink is done, I think those Marines are more than enough, especially with Stim Pack being so quick. Those Marines should be more than enough to deal with any early gateway units. So, the real danger is the Marines themselves. The Marines have less HP, but once they get their range upgrade, and with the medics at their backs, have a surprising amount of DPS. Significantly more dangerous than their StarCraft 2 counterparts, but also significantly more vulnerable. On top of the fact you can't scale your production nearly as easily. But ByuN just slaps down a couple scans, brought those comm-sats out early on, and before the war, really their only purpose. So he knows exactly what Hero's doing, unless he snuck a Dark Shrine out somewhere on the map, which seems unlikely against someone who has effectively free scans. The Blink Stalker's a clear choice. ByuN pops up, looks to see if Hero's stuck his neck out to take a third. If so, he'd chop it off. But until Blink is done, even Hero recognizing the severe risk associated with getting up close and personal with a bunch of dudes with drugs, guns, and anger issues. That's right at home. Templar Archives is on the way already behind. Hero focusing on climbing the tech tree before spreading himself too widely. The Blink Stalker's headed across the map. Marine range is in production. Siege mode being researched. What an anachronism. +1 infantry weapons as well. ByuN opting for the bioplays in what is actually almost identical to the strategy in current-day StarCraft 2. The early bio timings, and the Stim Marine's gonna chase down the Stalkers, a couple getting picked off, but the Stalkers fearing direct confrontation, of course. That's why they have those bandanas to hide their identity. More racks on the way. I think it's the StarCraft 2 engine in general. Since it doesn't require getting carpal tunnel to move more than 12 units at a time, it makes it a lot easier, especially the fact that in StarCraft 2, your units will follow your orders quickly and intuitively. For better or worse, all right? So, and especially when Hero's involved, we'll probably get both. Storm is already on the way, 5 racks production. The siege tanks, yeah, exactly like its StarCraft 2 counterpart. We're gonna do a big Marine tank timing, ideally trying to hit the 3rd base before Storm finishes. But I fear Storm will be fully operational by the time this Terran force arrives. The medics will help heal up somewhat, but with Marines only having 45 HP, to be clear, this is not on either new patch. Both StarCraft Evo and StarCraft 2 have gotten new patches, like less than a week after this tournament. But this is the StarCraft 2 / StarCraft Evo you know. I hope you love the siege tanks on the low ground. That means Storm still devastating over a short amount of time. There's some adjustments to SC Evo Bio as well. But again, we're living in the past in so many ways with this mod. Still though, the Stalkers picking off a couple. The Cape Boys, the Templar, building up energy, but the siege tanks with marginally more range than their StarCraft 2 counterparts, able to zone them out for now. Charge lock counterattack, gonna undercut a lot of the efforts here, but the siege tanks wailing on the Nexus. The Templar gliding around, the shields are already stripped away. A single Storm, a whole bunch of bio, but ByuN is very well aware of the threat. Many of the Marines melted on the front line, but many more going to be healed up by the medics, and the Nexus just dies. The sheer damage output tearing through everything. ByuN targets down the Sentry, targets down the Templar, and the Marines are stimming, and they're winning. The Archon is stuck behind the charge lots. He just targets it as well. The charge lot's not doing enough. The tank is retargeted to avoid friendly fire, and the Marines, they're holding the line fondly. The tank is taken down. 6 medics, 4 Marines, all of them surviving that engagement, and Hero's down 20 supply. I think everyone, myself, Hero, and maybe even ByuN, severely underestimating the power of the Bio army there without enough splash damage to contend with it. Those Marines, almost glass cannons, but cannons nonetheless, and Hero had none of his own. The medics survived throughout all of it, enough to heal each other as well. More Storms, but trying to draw them out. Minimal gateway units to force the medics healing one another. Surviving the Storms as well, at least most of them. The gateway units. A Warp Prism could help juggle some units forward, but the sheer damage output here. 1-1 is done for ByuN. No upgrades for Hero. The Nexus comes back up, and ByuN is looking to put it right back down. A Storm hits many of the Marines. The medics will weather it. The old circle jerk heal maneuver. Don't make it weird. The siege tanks just obliterating the Stalkers. The Archons will finish merging. The charge lot's closing in. The Nexus at half HP, juggling the Archons forward. And no amount of circus tricks is going to save Hero from the sheer amount of Terran coming across the map. Still warping in, still has the economy. Storm finally takes out another tank. Siege tank fires at the Zealot. Zealot close enough to the tank to take down the rest. One last Storm will finally stem the tide of Marines across the map, and the charge lots will chase down everything else. And ByuN will eventually be turned back. And behind it, a dramatic shift. Not 1, not 2, but 3 factories on the way. He already has 2 done. He's going to have 5 barracks and 5 factories. A much more bio-curious composition as ByuN opens up McDonald's in the main. Meanwhile, Hero has already expanded to a 4th base. Wow, look at the supply. Home Depot over here with the engineering bay in the center. Warp Prism's in the main, though. Marines scrambling back to defend. Those depots don't lower, so walling off is a precarious endeavor. The Warp Prism taking some hits. The charge lot slurped up. And the Marines might have extra range, but not quite enough to take down the Prism. Hero able to keep it alive for now. 124 to 106 supply. Hero, despite his losses, that was Hero's 3rd. And he didn't really lose any probes either. So now that he has a 4th base online, ByuN shifting to that more mech-based composition, a more typical, from my understanding, Brood War style of the siege tanks, the vultures. Spider mines are completed, but none laid down yet against the mass charge lot. Some Templar in the Prism as well. The Storms on top of the tanks and the SCVs alike. 60 HP won't save you from the Storms, but the Spider mines may save you from the Zealots. The splash damage washing over the Protoss. Getting a little taste of their own medicine. Metaphorically, of course. They don't have mouths. I'm not sure if they have medicine either. They just rely on space magic for everything. Moving on. Finally, those upgrades finishing for Hero, but ByuN has shifted into the mech army in time to hold on to his base. I think not trusting the Marines to be sturdy enough to survive a concerted attack. They were enough with the siege tanks to back them up in a very limited amount of gateway units, but as soon as there gets to be over 100 supply, the Marines will be shredded or evaporated, or maybe both. There's a whole lot of exciting and dramatic and Artosis complaining about ways for those Marines to die. And I believe we've fully completed out with the old and in with the new, for flesh is weak and malleable. The barracks literally being lifted up and sent out to create some more space in the main for mech units to maneuver, and probably add some more factories to complement the production. Science vessel on the way. Detection and potentially EMP. Has he researched EMP? No. EMP, of course, on the side. There we go. I think ByuN might be looking for the buttons. Like, but EMP on the science vessel. Lockdown, aka interference matrix on the Ghost. Bit of role reversal from StarCraft 2. Or, I guess StarCraft 2 is the role reversal. I mean, fun either way, right? Scans. Probably trying to see if there's a big shift into carriers or Tempests on the way. But no, Hero. Gateway man to a fault. 5 more gates, bringing him up to lucky 13. And a 6th Nexus is in production. Almost entirely mineral mining has now taken the gas on the outside. But Hero's gonna have 6 bases to ByuN's 4. But 4 bases should be enough to maintain production. One of the barracks lords is taken out. Hero has now taken the upgrade lead since ByuN shifted into the double armory mech. 2-2 is done for the Protoss. 1-1 mech weapons and armor for ByuN. And I believe in the Brood War, the armor upgrades are split. In SC2, they just slap the same armor on everything, so they're shared. The siege tanks on the high ground. The Stalkers straying their fancy little fragile legs too close and getting them obliterated by the tanks. The Vultures and Spider Mines. Oh, terrible, terrible damage. And the Zealots will be chased down. But a lot of Vultures committed over to the right flank. That might be an opportunity for Hero to move in. There's Spider Mines, barracks above, partially for vision, I think partially to draw fire here. The Zealot out in front. And, well, drawing a lot of the Spider Mines in. The Warp Prism almost dies immediately. Tries to juggle in the Immortals. Zealot's eating some more mine hits, but the Immortals and Stalkers surviving. Many of the Vultures coming back to defend. It looks like they took out a base in the top right corner. Or any attempts at one. And Hero loses 70 supply in seconds. In the last 90 seconds, ByuN has destroyed 6,900 minerals and 1,000 gas to just 2,406. Wow. It's not about how many men you lose. Or Zealots, whatever they identify as. But instead, how many you have to replace them. And Hero has plenty of economy to replace, but the Stalkers, not nearly as vulnerable unless the siege tanks are in range. The Vultures do great against shields, but their damage is split. They do almost nothing once they get past them. So designed to take out light units and shields. The Storms on the front line forces the Vultures back. The Science Vessels getting a front row seat to the Stalker fire. I guess dragging some of the shots in, but no EMPs. The siege tank line runs deep. And it appears Hero has dug a little too deep and possibly too greedily. The Stalkers will survive for now. He's able to juggle one Immortal out of the way. The Stalkers working around the edges. But ByuN is able to punch through the front line yet again. Siege tanks and Vultures en masse. The supply is still dead even. As Hero, for each of these fights, losing twice as much. But with twice as much economy, I guess he could afford it. The Warp Prism's still alive, despite Hero's best efforts. The Goliath's moving forward. Goliath range is nearly completed. The siege tank's not able to cover the entirety of the base, at least not reliably. ByuN's SCVs, I don't think they get hazard pay, but they definitely should. Mining under fire for the last minute and a half. Spider Mines being taken out. I don't know if there were any blocking the base, but the ones around it. Hero at 140 supply. He's managed to lose so much. 8,000 more resources so far, which is honestly less than I expected. I guess ByuN is losing a lot holding onto these bases. And the simple fact, ByuN has 4 bases. Hero has 7. Believe it or not, that's more. He's willing to use them as well. 13 gateways, 2 robos, mass upgrades. He's finished 3-3, working on shields now. But ByuN feeling confident enough to actually move to the low ground. Siege tank opening up fire. Finally, the Warp Prism is taken down. I think a Templar inside as well. Hero taking an 8th Nexus. His entire side and then some. As, you know, one might argue that this is supposed to be ByuN's base that Hero has taken a hold of, but let him try. Well, actually he's trying pretty well. The Zealot's just standing there and taking it. Here comes Hero with a multi-pronged attack. At least a couple prongs. So like a tuning fork attack. The Warp Prism tries to juggle the Immortals to the high ground, which expedites their loss to a withering amount of siege tanks. And Hero again finds himself down in supply after a fight, despite being nearly maxed out beforehand. The siege tanks forcing a... Oh, wow. That last fight, 6,000 to 2,000 in minerals, about 1,000 gas apiece. ByuN, and this is with ByuN at an upgrade disadvantage. All right. He's only has 2-2 for the mech, at least until this moment. So Hero had the most advantages with his composition that he's going to. And now ByuN is dead even on supply and is finishing the 3-3 upgrades. So it's not getting any easier for Hero to break through. I guess the question is, does he have the economy to back it up? Can he lose enough units that ByuN runs out of money before Hero runs out of units? Hero, believe it or not playing Chzzk, but you know, he may have picked the wrong race when he started things off. A command center getting outflanked by the Stalkers. I believe that was the main command center, as building 10 command centers not nearly as profitable as it is in StarCraft 2, with mules replacing everything with automation. Everything nowadays. Huge amount of siege. 17 siege tanks, 21 vultures, handful of Goliaths, and a single science vessel. Though the science vessels have not found very much use. Warp Prism gliding by. One of the barracks will spot it. I think ByuN already setting things up to defend. But Hero has maintained for a moment as ByuN took out that last base. Hero almost drew even in income. But now, actually warps in some Stalkers into the main. I thought ByuN would have reinforcements ready to defend, but no. Actually coming back with pretty much everything. Another science vessel straying into the Stalkers. Siege tank sieged up. And on the field, Hero tries to take advantage of the situation. And, well, things certainly coming to a middle. Neither player able to replenish their army quite quickly enough. ByuN doesn't really have enough factories to spend his money, despite the limited income. And Hero somehow doesn't have enough gates. He's just trying to deny the outlying bases. But ByuN has casually landed a command center in the bottom left corner, though he's not mining from that location, and there are no mules to drop, so unfortunately not able to drag those minerals out. Looks like Hero's gonna scout it with some more aggressive expansion. The Manifest Destiny Protoss. Probe decides that cannon rushing will be a more viable option. Meanwhile, the Zealots just slicing through. ByuN pulled away most of his units from the 3rd or 4th base. The Spider Mines will clean up the Zealots eventually. Hero swinging into the right side as ByuN, of course, caught out of position. Awkward warp-in location. Another scouting immortal. A huge warp-in! But the Vulture's able to spawn camp the slow warp-in, and they just have to watch. He could try to kill the pylon, but that would just cancel the warp-in. Hero manages to slip away with 4 Stalkers. But if he cancels the warp in, Hero gets the money back and the cooldowns back. If you just kill the units, that's the ultimate cancellation. Well, ByuN still at 140 supply with more army. Hero still committed to Immortals and Gateway units, or dying trying. 46,000 resources to 29. He's lost 3,000 more gas as well. Hero now losing dozens of probes to the vultures over the top of the mineral line, scans the top right and sees another target-rich environment. But the fourth base was taken out by the gateway units, some of the survivors from the warp-ins. Hero just is rebuilding a proxy pylon gateway. Why not? Spider mine set up to potentially defend. It looks like the natural is being floated over as ByuN is running out of resources and running out of command centers. But over... the spider mine's catching the stalkers as they blink away. 68 to 64 workers. Hero building 3 immortals at a time, now with double speed prism immortal drop. Really borrowing some Brood War tactics as he dunks on top of the siege tanks. A much more effective attack out of Hero, negating the value of those tanks. There weren't enough Goliaths or Vultures in order to ward it away. And now the SCVs will pay the ultimate price. The command center might be taken out as well, though there aren't too many stalkers left behind. ByuN down to 127 supply. Still pumping out the siege tanks, but now Hero has finally taken some more dramatic losses at the tail end of the engagement. Both sides being pummeled. An absolute brawl on the field, and we may never see 200 supply again. The Immortals, the Zealots, ByuN holding strong. But the sheer weight of this Protoss army puts even your mother to shame. There's just so much Protoss, and Hero with a unique willingness to throw it all away in the hopes that he can rise from the ashes like the phoenix he never even thought of building. Hero at 113 supply, far outstripping ByuN, who's languishing at 91. But the army supplies are still dead even. The siege tank count is still dramatic. Energy recharge, a Templar gathers a couple storms. Hero rallies the probes to the wrong side of the Nexus, but actually may keep them alive in a fortuitous misclick. The Warp Prism headed for the main. The missile turrets, only a single one remains. Oh no! A spider mine hit and took out some probes! It doesn't hit probes. Any unit that doesn't hover, so pretty much probes and Archons. But if they're close enough. Hero re-expanding to the bottom left corner. The times of plenty have ended, but Hero's income lead has persisted. 57,000 resources lost to 39. And ByuN with actually a surplus of Vespene gas. Did he lose his starport? No, he just gave up on science vessels about 14 lost ago. Looks like a barracks was blocking Hero from long-distance mining from one of the contested bases. What a disaster piece of a game. Somehow entirely on brand for these two, despite ByuN using those StarCraft 1 units. Making so much use out of them. Hero obliging. Now, would it have been better to switch into something like Carriers or Tempests? I'm not convinced. With Goliaths being a much more stable option than Marines, and potentially the use of Ghosts for lockdown. But you could tell. It's been... Oh, Hero doing his greatest cosplay of Brood War. And giving those probes a mandated work break, and ByuN is hoping that scan didn't draw attention to the fact that half of Hero's economy is idle. But Hero is 3/4 of the way to a 4 corners bingo strategy. And ByuN doesn't even have any corners of the map. He's down to 2 command centers. They may be his originals as well. Hero realizing now in the bottom left corner. There may be one more fight. He recalls some probes. Wow. ByuN unwilling to commit the potential units to taking out that base. And now, the aggressive spider mine placement. 3 immortals and a bunch of zealots, but the vultures just grind right through it. Take out a bunch of the zealots. The stalkers idle on the other side. The probe's vulnerable. But more SCV is going to be taken down. Hero. Does he know about these spider mines? Could wipe out all the stalkers, but Hero may max out one more time. It seems incredibly unlikely ByuN will ever find his way there again. The immortals are not going to be enough. He already used the recall, so no bringing in reinforcements. Potentially Storm throws out one. The siege tanks. Oh, explode-rate the Templar. And this base will be completely annihilated, alongside many of the probes. But Hero goes into a base trade of sorts. Gonna set up some of the spider mines to defend. Oh no, the Observer! The Observer was taken out. The spider mines, the entire wave of mines will trigger on just a few zealots. More spider mines dragged into the zealots. Hero commits everything to the base trade. The siege tank's entirely out of position. There's no observers. The spider mines are forcing a massive toll. There's still production in the main base. Only vultures. Oh my. And now ByuN will have to break back into his main. And he doesn't know that recall is on cooldown. The storms making it incredibly difficult to get any closer. The siege tanks are taking too long to get close enough. By the time... Oh, the War Prism's back. And through all the fire and fury, Hero gutting ByuN's main. I think there's still the high ground mischance in this mod. Though, the factories are taken out, the War Prism, and Hero does enough. ByuN unable to pin him down. And despite losing 20,000 more resources in almost every single battle, Hero ends up winning the war. 272 zealots, 30 immortals, and 1 victory to start things off. Hero. Many of you may die, but that is a sacrifice that Hero is more than willing to make. ByuN unable to stabilize. Hero never lost. He always had another base. He always had another option. If ByuN's able to pin him down, those siege tanks, the entirety, every Terran army involving siege tanks seemed to be almost impossible to deal with head on. Of course, Hero wasn't exactly creative with his unit composition. Let's be honest here. He probably could have added a little more variety in there. Or, you know, any air unit. But at the end of the day, it didn't even matter. But now it's Hero's turn to take us back to the Brood War. As we go into Sylphid, a map dedicated to SC Evo. Jimmy, can you load? What do you mean it's an old patch? Sorry. Like and subscribe so I can get some help. Emotional or physical. But again, you can play the SC Evo mod whenever you like. And the AI works as well. Just add an extension mod to any one of your favorite maps. Doesn't matter if it's Megaton, Steps of War, or, you know, like a real map. Fastest map possible. Big Game Hunters. Does have an SC Evo version as well. Oh, no, he doesn't get 4. I don't... With Hero. With the StarCraft 1 Protoss, their rough-cut pylons, their fancy probes. Why do I expect we're going to see the same game with almost exactly the same units? Or their equivalents? We'll see, we'll see. Spider Mines, the real MVPs. I'm not even sure how kills are tracked by Spider Mines, but taking out, of those 272 Zealots taken down, I think the Spider Mines were at least half. Acquitting themselves well. ByuN just unable to ever really restabilize. What would that have looked like? The science vessel's going woefully underutilized. I think he lost 3 or 4 doing nothing but standing around and looking like target practice. And this is a 3-player map, by the way. So Hero's scouting the wrong location first. Of course, he couldn't know that. But ByuN with the double gas. The probe. The shield's regenning combat, if slowly. So may actually be even more annoying than the StarCraft 2 counterparts, if that's possible. You can't be in here. All right, this is private property. It says right here. Billy, we both know you don't know how to read. Well, they don't know that. Why you gotta do me like that, Sarge? It's important to be accurate. Well, I never told me that. Sorry. Protoss been bullshit. Rangoon's on the way. Goon range. Dragoon. Okay. Jimmy, just edit like a minute and a half. They won't miss it. It's the early. Dragoon range on the way. Making it almost impossible to deal with those early Marines, Reapers, any bio units, which is probably why ByuN is opting to go for the factory as quick as possible. The probe finally hunted down in the corner of the map. ByuN doesn't know which map position that Hero is in, but I think by the timing of the probe scout, he may have his suspicions. A shield battery, looking much more spidery than I remember. Actually, everything looking much more spidery than I remember, but the Dragoons out in front. Oof. Zoning out the Reaper Hellion. No Reaper jump location. This is a Brood War style map. There's only the ramp to the front and a massive main base that you could fit, well, pretty much anything in. The Reaper Hellion just tries to go for the bounce, but the shield battery enough to get him to turn around. The Dragoons, even without range, more than enough to drive this back. What are you doing, ByuN? Is this Cloak Banshees? The Observer, either way, is going to spot any of this. The Cyclone says, no, you're not. Hyperflight Ban... Well, this is certainly something different. Hypershees? Not even bothering with Cloak, but instead Speed Banshees. I think trying to take advantage of the fact that, one, almost every StarCraft 1 Protoss, I think in both StarCraft 1 and StarCraft Evo, wants to go Reavers. And two, Dragoons don't have Blink. So he's gonna go, like, Mobile Mech Terran. So even when Hero scouts this with an Observer, he doesn't see the icon. He's gonna think it's Blink. Alright, there's nothing to tell him it's not until the speed kicks in. These are battle shees here. Or at least, well, no, he's still gonna use them to murder probes. With absolutely no mercy. But I don't know if the Dragoons can catch them. And the same principles apply. Shield batteries are not gonna be enough to stop the Banshees from cutting right through them. 2 Banshee shots before the shield batteries can regen will kill the probes. Hero just making mass goons. He's got a Robobay done. A Reaver in production. Well, if he wasn't supply blocked, some things never change. But I think ByuN getting the better end of the builds here. Almost certainly. He's predicted exactly what Hero wants to do. And I think he's going to take it out with relative ease. Now, if the Banshees just get shot out of the sky, well then, obviously, ByuN's in a bad spot. But he's already got 2 Hypershees. He's easily going to outmaneuver the Dragoons. Huh. ByuN clearly prepared. And I don't know how you actually deal with this directly without a Stargate. I mean, the same's technically true in StarCraft too. It's just Blink Stalkers have a lot more mobility. The Dragoon's not known for efficiently getting from point A to point B. Let's be honest here. The Speed Banshees. Hero spots them with an observer as they fly out over the ocean. I'm just now realizing is here. Wow, beautiful. The Dragoons. A full concave of them zoning out the entire mineral line. And now the ground push. So that wasn't nearly as dramatic as I expected it to be. He just kind of stopped it. The Banshees are still lurking, waiting for their opportunity, but Hero now has Reavers slowly, oh so slowly, but very surely, working their way out. The Dragoons scrambling in behind the third base mineral line to defend. And a actual Stargate is on the way. One of the Banshees, a strong gust of wind or a collision with one of the surprisingly large birds away from death, but manages to survive. Another observer's taken out. Will he spot the third? Hero, it appears, pixels away from spotting the third base, but the Citadel now with Zealot legs on the way. Gonna start juicing. Just inject it, I guess. Shuttle to be able to ferry the Reavers around. No, I'm not confident Hero's going to be using it in a perfect fashion. We've seen these StarCraft 2 Protoss so used to the Warp Prism, and it's much more lenient pickup range. Also not building the Scarabs. You have to manually build the Scarabs on those Reavers. Yeah, it's an anachronism, but still. Back in my day, we had to click everything, all right? Technology didn't exist, and pixels, psh, we'd be lucky to get 600 of them. All right, Grandpa. Now get off the phone so I can get back on the internet. No, they shut AOL down, Grandpa. What do you mean? Give me my phone book. What? And it? A fleet beacon's on the way. As Hero tech it all the way up, he's decided not to mess with whatever shenanigans ByuN is doing, but instead go all... The Banshees are gonna slip and slide around, but more important for them to stay alive and anchor so many of... Oh my god! Oh! Oh! Oh, the Reaver! So much damage! And from downtown... Oh! He dodges it! I didn't even know you could do that. Oh my... Wait, no, one more time. I feel like this is going to make it look less dramatic, but the Reavers, with shuttle speed finishing, gravitic drive, fires off the shots. The Marines! And he comes around the corner. No, it was a lot of damage. Like 15 supply right off the bat, and softening up the rest. Fires a shot around the corner, which is endlessly hilarious. Oh, big hits. He takes out the shuttle, but oh my. ByuN getting some of those massive scarabs of heroes directly to the face. And absolutely no prelude to it at all. Unexpected scarabs are the most deadly and most uncomfortable. The Banshees, though, with about 1/4 of a Banshee of HP between them. The Corsair is fast enough. Takes out both. Just blinks them out of existence with its little taser. And the Reavers just taking a massive metaphorical bite out of the Terran army. ByuN getting caught in the midfield. And now? That was so much damage. Of course, he still has to break the army, but their carriers already arrived. He hasn't researched carrier capacity. The Reaver's just patrolling. Casual space slugs. Dun, 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 dun! He saved the Marauder. It doesn't do enough damage to kill a Marauder. Definitely kills the Marines. Oh, wow. Is that a new Corsair skin? They've really got their... Very fancy. I love it. ByuN does not. Typical Terran. Cannot appreciate art. Heroes maxed out. Getting Storm? Somewhat amusingly, the Brood War Storm is much closer to the new patch Storm in StarCraft 2. Not actually sure if it has a larger radius. No, there's no splash damage. The Terran army just completely, like, this is not even close. Wow. Ding goes the Dragoon as one by one. Their legs broken, their shields stripped away. The Reavers are slowly but surely. He's gonna try to split and stim, but the Reavers are getting multiple hits. EMPs, though. Oh, wow. ByuN just tearing through. The carriers have arrived a bit belatedly. But soon enough, the splash damage is cut away, but the carriers enough overhead. Some Liberators in production. I'm not sure if Hero even knows there's an upgrade for... yeah, the carrier capacity. The Templar do have Storm, but they don't have energy, so... unfortunate that. EMPs, but the Interceptors are flung out. The mass missile turrets, though. The TBM begins to raise. Some DTs in the mix. The carriers themselves being targeted by the Marines. The EMPs! Can we get a Storm? A Storm on the army and the carriers! Oh my. The DT's underneath and ByuN dwindling in supply. Oh no. It's an absolute disaster. The carriers will retreat. They will rebuild what few interceptors they can carry. Actually, kind of a big deal not to have 8 interceptors, right? Like, he's getting Darkons. I mean, okay. Well, Maelstrom is in production. Jimmy, where are my tooltips? Yeah, Maelstrom, which I believe just stunned. Dark Archons are pacifists, right up until they're not. With mind control, well, I think you have to research mind control. Everything and its mother quite literally needs research. The lack of carrier capacity, though, is very much a problem for Hero. He has 8 carriers, but only 32 interceptors. And while they might be a bit more sturdy than their StarCraft... oh my. The Dark Archons. The Reaver doesn't have any Scarabs in it. Yes, Protoss takes slightly more APM, Hero. He's building some Scarabs now. I think you can fit it. He's got the Templar and the Prism, the carriers overhead, the Storms... well, I think he got EMP'd on the Dark Archon. Trying to come... oh my. Oh. Oh, well, the Reaver tries to help. Unfortunately, Hero, I think, fumbled at the goal line. And will lose every single carrier. He's losing his base to the south. He can't just warp in. Every carrier, every Templar, every Reaver. And now he's going to lose the only real advantage he had in economy. It is an unmitigated, comprehensive, hero-level disaster, as Hero has managed, through great effort and in dramatic fashion, to turn a near certain victory into an overwhelming loss. Well, ByuN had the army. He microed exactly as well as he needed to. The EMPs were on point, and Hero walked right into it. He created the opportunity, but wow, did Hero oblige. The Ghosts will weather the storms. The Archons will not see the light of day. And ByuN looks like he'll actually turn it around. Hero no longer has anything to fall back on or fall back to. The carriers knocked down by the Vikings. The Templar slowly gliding out of the gateways. The Vikings, the historical and in-game counter, stormed, but ByuN. Oh my. Hero jumps off a cliff. His entire army walks into the perfect engagement, and despite the drama, ByuN is able to take it home, and StarCraft 2 looking good with these two professionals. Bit of a disaster piece. Hero, I think Hero was excited to use the Dark Archons. He explicitly set them up. He went through the whole research. Well, he didn't get all the research, but he got Maelstrom. He's getting the energy upgrade. He had a few mixed into the army, but then EMP hit. And Hero clearly never checked the fleet beacon for any potential carrier upgrades, like having twice as many interceptors. Which, you know, seems good. But, on the bright side, that means we get some more games. What do you mean this is a best of 3? Oh, the patch broke the map? Apparently, the patch actually broke one of our maps. Thanks, intern. So, the next game will be the decider. Hopefully, it's the right person. Maybe at some point. You know, that had to have been the game of the year, according to me. But we're all tied up. Makes it more dramatic this way anyways. Thanks, intern. We'll look into it. It will be Hero as the StarCraft 1 Protoss. And ByuN as the StarCraft 2 Terran. A reprise for the prize. Vermeer, a 4-player map, actually one of my personal favorites of the SC Evo maps. So in SC Evo, you can see 2 out of the 3 map positions they could have spawned in. This is how we balance out the 4-player maps, is that you can see it essentially turns into a 3-player map. Gives a little marker for the first 90 seconds of the 2 potential spawn locations. But the dynamics of a 4-player map are still very different. There's always going to be more bases to potentially expand to, as well as the drama of, you know, maybe having a much closer rush distance. Whereas Sylphid is kind of rotationally symmetrical. Oh my. The probe being incredibly annoying, and I think that narrows down the potential starting location. And Hero with a classic... He's just building a zealot. Wow. This is StarCraft 2 Terran. They know how to build doors, unlike Protoss. Ever. But of course. Hundreds of gates. 0 doors. Protoss. Oh no. ByuN. ByuN did not scout, and he's blindly building a command center on the low ground. Uh-oh. That zealot. I never realized how much swagger they have in their stride. And how little clothing they're wearing. You know, my kind of zealot. I mean, when you whip your hair, nerve cords back and forth. Back in the day. Nothing could go wrong with that, right? Well, surprise! Well, this is certainly less than ideal. The boys are pulled! But these are not StarCraft 1 SCVs, and this is a StarCraft 1 Zealot. It has more HP. We're going to play Ring Around the SCVs. Dun, 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 dun. The probe may kill it. Oh, no! Don't watch. I apologize for the camera work. One more time. That Marine not getting in the bunker. It's a disaster. And a Dragoon! Would the Marine in the bunker have made the difference? Well, ByuN! ByuN did not question whether he should scout. He questions Hero's build. And Hero... Alright, let me check. We had the brackets up. Okay, Hero won the series. There was one more game, and it was on Oceanborn. And apparently it was 9 minutes long. So we won with Blinkstalkers then. But, so, we have the truth of it. Hero takes out ByuN. And honestly, that Sylphic game was a bit of a handout, as Hero clearly embracing the full Protoss style. I find it incredibly amusing that Hero is much more tech-oriented as Brood War Protoss than as StarCraft 2. Or maybe that was just the lesson he needed to just go mass Gateway and Brood War as well. But I don't know. Those Reaver hits, still recovering from that. Takes about 15 minutes usually. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you to Chzzk Murlock King Cup, yes, the Korean streaming site, for putting on this incredible tournament. I'm looking forward to more. And if you made it this far, make sure to like and subscribe, and I don't know, even leave a comment in order to make sure those SC Evo vids do as well as they deserve to. Always hard to do something just a little bit different, but hopefully it made your day a little bit better. Thank you for watching. See you next time. If you got the means of motivation, you also check out Patreon, YouTube membership. Thank you to our Muir tier patrons, Big Jiggy, Devin Dork, Drac, Kate, Mario, Soup. Glad you still enjoy. And I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.